for these wonderful filmmakers that started in Theater 13. I'm a Women in Film International Committee. I co-chair it. My committee supports this film festival and all its social causes. We're supporting 12 international filmmakers, VR experience, which you can try afterwards, hope you do, and several panels. Thank you again for coming, and I hope you enjoy the film and learning and hearing from these wonderful filmmakers. John.
Hi, my name is John Gomez, and my film is When I Stutter.
I'm Danielle Doring, and I'm co-writer, co-producer of Half Nelson.
I'm Ruben Langren. I'm a director, writer, producer of Half Nelson.
Wonderful.
John, how did you get interested in stuttering, and how did you start this journey of finding people who stutter and kind of walking them through their own journey?
Yeah, well, growing up, I had a couple friends and family members. Even louder than that.
Stand up.
Oh, you want me to stand up? Okay. This is my Aunt Ruthie over here. Tanya. Get my jacket on too, Aunt Ruth. Okay, so yeah.
Where's the tie?
And where's the tie? Well, it's Southern California. Anyway, so yeah, when I was in grad school, going back, growing up, I had an aunt who stutters. And I also had a couple of friends, but we never really talked about it in a qualitative type way. In the family, sometimes jokes would be made behind their backs, which typically happens, and that's human. That's part of the human condition. We make fun of that which we don't understand. But nobody ever really talked about how it impacted them, including those people that stuttered. Cut to grad school, I was lucky enough to have some really great professors, and among them was Gail Wilson Liu, who, as you saw in the film, is a person who stutters. And she introduced me to the emotional impact that stuttering can have on somebody who stutters. And she also introduced me to about 70% of the people that are in the film right now. The NSA stuttering support group has been amazing to this film. It's one of the reasons we had a packed audience, that along with friends, family, all types of loved ones, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, that's Gail Wilson Liu.
Thank you very much. You stand too.
Sure. This film was inspired. 2015, I lost my friend, and I lost the battle against depression. 3 months before I found out, we were Facebook messaging each other, and he's like, "Dude, we gotta make a film." I'm like, "Yeah, we will." And then life goes on, you get stuck in the hustle and bustle, and you just don't really stop and breathe and spend time with those people. And then when I found out, it was just such a shock because he never knew he was battling this inner demon within himself. And that was kind of the biggest inspiration of all. And then so we wrote it, and we finished writing it, we started reaching out for a crew. And then the biggest surprise was a lot of the crew members actually were dealing with this also demon inside. And obviously it's all different, it's not the same demon. And that's why I kind of also try to show them the last frames of the film where the visuals happens and you see a bunch of darkness behind them. But they disappear once there's human interaction, human connection. As soon as Akash touches Caitlin, and then that's when the demons go away. So I try to symbolize the human connection is really thus what, and just being compassionate towards each other. That's what's going to help us, because we're not going to be able to reach out. Someone who's dealing with it, it's not going to speak out. Like, hey, that's what I'm doing. Fortunately, I've been going to the festival circuit, and people have actually came up to me after the screening. Wow, that's what I'm dealing with, and someone tells me oh, my son just told me this, and I'm like, I affected one life, and that's I guess that's the real impact, and you kind of feel what this message should be, and we should really care about each other a lot more than just oh, hey, how's it going, and thank you, and yada yada. That's kind of what it really inspired.
Thank you.
Cool.
What's the next step? So we all voted. How do we help people? What do we do? It's important.
Yeah, thank you. That's the $1 million. Yeah, that's the $1 million question for all of us filmmakers. How do we get our products seen? So, film festivals like this are integral. It allows us to have a nice forum, invite our friends and family, bring people in who are interested in awareness as a general topic, and then they can find out something about stuttering while they're here, which is fantastic. So I'm probably midway through the film festival circuit right now, and I've been talking to a couple of distribution companies as possibilities. The National Stuttering Association, as I said, has been fantastic to me, and I want distribution to somehow go through them so that profits will somehow go through them as well. And it's just a matter of figuring out the best way to do that. I don't think that anybody, even the distributors, fully know the best way to do it in this day and age, with streaming and all the other different types of competition in media. So it's definitely a question to be figured out. But the next steps are to get through the film festival cycle and then make it available educationally to universities, and then ultimately to you do the consumer rollout, to have DVDs and have it available via streaming.
And I just wanted for you all to say is that it's really important in order for any film, any project to get traction, honestly, is that you like all their social media. You share out their social media. And if you hear that they have a screening at a festival, you share it out to friends and family and see if there's any way you can get them local papers, radio stations, that they get some press and publicity to come check it out. You might have family in that area. Encourage them. Everything helps as long as you're constantly showing that this project is alive and that people care about it. So that is also a great way to maximize exposure for this, for John, the film, and for also stuttering in general. So I'm going to also throw this same question back at Half Nelson about how are they going to continue forward with this process for themselves.
So we're getting towards the end of our film run, circuit run. So I really want to go live with this. It was never about making. Like I was never thought like, oh, I'm gonna make this film. I'm gonna get the next big deal. It was never about that. The main reason was to spread awareness. And so, what's the best way to spread awareness? Though, just by sharing online. So if you hit a like on our webpage, we'll just we'll send out the link and it's gonna be live maybe within the next few weeks or so. And just share the message around because we should really help each other out.
I was curious about Mikhail because I noticed that there was a lot of counseling kind of going on. Like how much counseling expertise do you have to have before you get into becoming a
The question is, how much expertise and counseling experience do you need in order to do basically what she does?
So it's a part of the class that I teach, and like all of us in our profession, we're speech language pathology. Just like a medical doctor, we're supposed to know everything about every disorder possible. Okay, so it's a learning curve. So if you want to specialize in stuttering, then you have to take more courses. You have to take how to be a good listener. To be the best SLP in the whole wide world, you have to be the most wonderful listener. You have to listen to your clients, see where they're coming emotionally. So it's a learning curve, but you can do it.
I want to follow up on that. Go ahead.
Please stand up.
It was
Yeah, Ruth.
okay. It was like tough love that you were doing with him.
Yeah.
And is that the school teacher I was? I mean, you were like tough, and I felt badly for him. I thought, oh my gosh, we wouldn't do that in elementary level. It would be more nurturing, and I found you to be tough, and that was a different approach.
And did you like that approach?
I did. She was getting results. Every time you get results.
So it just took probably quite a few times of John coming over to film until I finally started to feel relaxed and almost appreciate it. This is what the film's about, and if I don't stutter, then it's going to be a little more difficult to explain the psychological, the emotional component. But if people see my struggles with my speech, then it kind of makes it a little more real for everybody, obviously. So.
Hi, my name is Richard Alvarado. He had to clean it up a little bit. Some of our stories were a little
Racy?
bit racy. I personally like the ones about the nun, but
It's going to be in the DVD extra.
You might, there's a suggestion for you is actually a director's and actually maybe some of the participants' commentary to your.
That's a great idea.
To your piece, so people can. They could explain what was going on in the process. If you ever heard like a director's commentary to films, this might be very appropriate to have a director's commentary and maybe have some of the participants so people can get some interaction. That's an
Great idea. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to do that. Yeah.
I found the film being a stutter all my life. You know, I'm an old guy now.
Not that old.
You know, old enough. And it was never talked about in school. Parent, I'm Mexican, so like most Latinos, you know, you just don't discuss it. You know, it's not discussed. You know, of course, that's what you're described at the family reunion. You know, the guy who can't talk. It sheds a light on the pain, and I'm lucky I survived. You know, because you get angry for a long time, and like I always say, you got to talk about it. And I met Annie in 1990 with the NSP.
Annie is who? Where's Annie?
That's Annie. She was a member of the NSP. And that was the first time in my life, and I was 37, 38. That's the first time I actually felt comfortable talking about stuttering. And 'cause I never did. You know, I don't even think my closest friends do. And some still don't. But
Did you feel comfortable when you were talking to John when you were doing this film?
yeah, kind of. It was one of those things that I don't know if it's just you get old or just don't care anymore, or I hit a point in my life where stuttering was not that important. I mean, there's a lot of things. I met a wonderful woman and got married, which I thought would never happen. And you know, I always felt I had something to say, you know, about stuttering. It's the only thing I really know. I don't know anything else. And you know, working with Gail and talking to parents of children who stutter, I think that's a real good thing to talk about. Because when you don't talk about it, it's a horrible thing because it leads into other stuff.
So did you find your talking in the film very cathartic?
Very, yeah. And I'm like most stutters, you can't shut us up once we get started.
You know what? I actually did not know that, and that's nice to know.
Yeah, you hit a
have
point
a lot to
where
say.
we'll just keep on talking. You know, and you have to drag us away with a hook.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So, John, who was the hardest person for you to deal with in the film? Was it because they were harder to get, not hard, like they were bad, but it's like, you had to calm them down, or they were unexpected, they were too nervous, or there was a shoot problem that, like, what do I do now? That kind of stuff.
You know, in general, I was operating the camera, much like this gentleman is right now. I was operating the camera, monitoring the sound, and asking the questions. And, you know, you had to have divided attention. So a lot of times, I feel like the questions were answered a lot better than the questions that were asked. I think people really did a great job divulging, you know, their emotions. And I didn't have any experience in that, so I wasn't sure what I was going to get. And I think that people many times are eager to tell their story. And I tried to just ask a simple question, sit back, be quiet, and let them tell that. In some cases, like with Jenny, for example, she was giving some fantastic answers, but I said, okay, that's great, and that's really good information. But how does this make you feel? How does it really make you feel? What would you like to convey to somebody from that deeper, darker part of your heart? And I said that, and like her whole demeanor changed. She relaxed. Her voice kind of changed. She's like, "Oh, you want to hear that?" And that's one example. But in general, I was lucky to have the people that I had with me, in terms of their ability to just give.
And then what made you decide those particular people were going to be part of the film? Because you probably had so many people to look at as potential possibilities, but it's a film, and can't put everybody in, unfortunately. Maybe part 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could probably make an entire other documentary out of it. I started categorizing everything. Okay, they said this about this and this about that, and I think that's kind of healthy. I don't really know what somebody else's process is for making a documentary. And then I started putting this bin, I'm like, very interesting. So the most interesting things that they said, things that kind of like knocked me on my butt. And those are the things that ended up being in the film. I'm like, oh, that's really what I want. I have self-diagnosed ADHD. So when I'm watching something, I lose my attention very quickly. So I wanted to make something that would engage people in an entertaining way and then educate. Because I kind of felt that people who started deserve that and for their story to be told in that particular type of way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Gail, did you have anything that you want to?
I'm good.
All right. And you guys, so who's going to answer this one, or is it a team question?
What's the question?
So what was surprising when you were creating this in the shooting process for it? Or the most, not surprising, or maybe the most like devastating that you didn't know what you were going to handle, but it was handled in the end? You can pick the story.
We went through a lot of obstacles in this project. During
You can stand.
during during pre-production, we didn't really fully. I mean, we wrote it, and that was like the biggest. Finishing it was really hard because we went over like 20 rewrites just for that 14-minute piece. During production, I mean, through the whole time, at first, it's the perfect film, and when you write it, and so I told my producers over there, my DP over there, I was like, guys, I want the camera to be the soul of Nelson, and he's just reliving his last day. That's what I want. And obviously, I tried to do that as best as we could, but the finance wasn't there to achieve what I wanted. But at the end of the day, we got what we needed, and that's kind of what we lost.
Okay.
And
So I guess out of because financing for a short film or any project is always difficult. What was your creative solution to get your message that you wanted to for the tone and feel of the film? Like you said, you're cinematographers here.
Yeah.
How did you guys? Well, we can't have this equipment, but let's do it this way. And what was that? What was that creative compromise? Creative. How are we going to do this?
Oh, sure. Because at first we're like, all right, we need dollies and stuff like that. And then when you think of dolly movements, you're going to need, that's time. Because you need to balance out the dolly tracks, and you got to make everything, and the lighting to be right, and the focusing. So to do one shot, it probably takes you like maybe 2 hours or 3 hours just for one shot. And so we're like, all right, we need to cut that in half, and we have to keep the camera in motion. That was our DP who said, oh, let's put it on, what was it called? What rig did we use? Oh, the gimbal. We used the gimbal, and basically we steady cammed everything as much as we could.
Steady cam, it's like a continuous motion.
Yeah.
For it, so instead of having like.
Oh, sure. And so initially what I wanted to do, and also since it is a film about depression, and there's a lot of just talking people, so if the camera would be steady, it would be a slight dull film. And so what I wanted was to keep the images going and to keep the camera moving. So therefore, as an audience, you're experiencing this journey as well, not necessarily just like, oh, I'm watching people just talk. And so that's basically what we came to.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
That's Masaki Ima, by the way, our director of photography. And Kevin Huey, our other producer.
Do you have anything to add about what was the most hardest part or easiest part that you unexpected?
Post-production was rough, and we also had our VFX, like he kind of mentioned, we had all these extra VFX things planned, and it did not quite happen, was probably the nicest way I could put it. And so, but again, we ended up getting we figured it out. We had a great team, and so, but it was hard. Post was also hard, editing and just technical difficulties that come with working on a low budget film. But we were really lucky because we had a lot of people who who believed in it so much that they gave us their time and favors and to make it happen with bare bones, kind of crew and budget.
You people are just marvelous. And today is the day. Pardon me. My name is Steve Paulson. I happen to know John pretty well. And today is
Also
the day.
the associate producer when I started.
What a marvelous thing. We're helping people today. That's what your mission is. And your work, Richard, sorry, your name again?
I'm Jenny.
Jenny and Gail, right? Your work in stuttering is so fantastic. But if I didn't say to John today, please, the film had a citation in there for mom. If there's anybody who's up in heaven looking down today, it's your mom, John. So it's your chance to say something about your mom in this.
Yes.
Please.
Okay.
I put you on the spot.
Yeah,
That's
you
what I
did.
do all the time with John.
Okay.
For mom.
Yeah, my mom died a couple of years ago of cancer. One of the few breaks I had to take in the film was actually 4 months to hang out with my father after my mom passed away. And it's time I'll never regret. I'm glad that my dad and I spent that time together, but I lost a little bit of touch with the film. But when I finally got back to it, I came back full force, and I thought, this is definitely a film to dedicate to Mary Gomez. That was her name, Mary Gomez. And she had the tenderest, most loving heart. She never met a person she didn't love automatically. She was loving to a fault. And if I got 10% of that, I'd be lucky. And her legacy is continued in part because of the kindness that hopefully I can show, but definitely that I get from my aunts. My Aunt Ruthie is here, my Aunt Bernice is here. And thank you so much for asking that question, Steve, because it's dedicated to her because she has just a loving heart and was accepting of everybody. Even she never saw any version of the film. She just saw me listening to kind of dailies, and she heard, I think it was Dale Williams, maybe 10 minutes of what he said, and she's like, I had no idea that people who stutter were impacted this way. And that was just 10 random minutes. But that let me know that maybe that there's going to be something to this film. That maybe people had shared something that was really raw and real, and that she had recognized she was an artist. And if there's anything good about me, it's because I got it from her. And my dad a little bit too. He's a good guy. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for spending their time and money here. It means a lot. I appreciate it. You can keep up with the film if you go to my website, whenistutter.com or whenistutter.org. I can keep you updated on the film. My next project is actually also going to be on stuttering. This summer I went out to Muskegon, Michigan. Muskegon, not Muskegon. Got that right. And there's a camp out there where kids go, 8 to 18, and they'll go to this camp and they'll be in a shell emotionally. And then after 7-8 days, they come out and they're new, vibrant kids. And it's because what's focused on is communication. They meet other kids who have gone through what they've gone through, and it's a really powerful thing. So I shot that along with Ty Mayberry, my narrator, very talented guy. We shot that this summer, and we're gonna start getting that edited within the next month. Last things, make sure you get your parking validated. And we are meeting over at Tom's Urban. It looks like everybody's meeting over there. Thank you so much for coming out. It means the world. Thank you.
All right, our next thing, we're writing a web series. And so, we'll see.
And how to follow you?
How to follow us, halfnelsonshortfilm.com, or like us on Facebook, half Nelson, or you get a business card from me right here.
Business card. Check him out.
One last thing. Okay. I'm gonna embarrass him.
Oh,
it's
no.
his birthday.
Oh,
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. And thank you to the Awareness Film Festival for having us and giving us this forum. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for coming here. Enjoy the rest of the film festival. Enjoy these filmmakers. Follow them, and please check out the VR. There's some great things. So enjoy, and thank you for coming to this year's Awareness Film Festival.